So welcome to ACI's presentation on the power of payments orchestration. I'll give you an introduction as to who I am and what it is that I do at ACI Worldwide and my experience in the payments industry. So I've been in the payments space now for about 12, 13 years or so, and I've worked across many different parts and functions within that space, in acquiring, e-commerce gateway, point of sale, fraud, and I'm tasked with all of that stuff now at ACI as well, with the exception to the acquiring piece. And the presentation of ACI today, the power of intelligent payments orchestration. And we're going to look at a few points as part of that discussion. What is your business's payment strategy? Orchestration and strategy, how they're inextricably linked in the payments world. And finally, how orchestration critically enables the business's strategy. And that's the point, how it enables the strategy. So, a question for you today in the room. What is your payment strategy? Years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting an Olympic rubber. It was an event similar to this, and he gave us a wonderful speech. It was Sir Matthew Pinsent on his strategy that he employed around how he won with his team the Olympics. Their strategy was really simple, and they measured absolutely everything that they did by this one simple adage: how do we make our boat go faster? How can we get the boat from A to B in the least amount of time? And they looked at absolutely everything as part of that strategy. They looked at the clothes they were wearing, the shoes, their diet, their exercise regime. Absolutely everything was pulled into that idea of making this boat go faster. And in payments, well, it's the same scenario. We want not necessarily the speed element, but we want to look at absolutely everything in terms of that payments journey to drive performance. How can we add an extra 0.5% here, a 1% there? So payment strategy is no different. And in terms of what that looks like in an enterprise space, it can be the difference between millions of pounds worth of revenue, just a small uplift in conversion. So, ACI's thought on payment orchestration then. Everyone talks about payment orchestration in the marketplace, but what is it? Well, we think orchestration is built on 3 pillars: flexibility, scalability, and cost control. Orchestration fundamentally enables merchants to be able to flex their strategy in whichever way they see fit by utilising the features, the functionality in their tech stack. So it enables, just as a conductor would do, the ability to turn certain elements up, turn certain elements down, and really give the merchant the control of what is happening at the front end of their customer's journey. And it's worth calling out, there's a few different models for orchestration in the marketplace. You've got your traditional orchestrator of PSPs, so where the PSPs would have the payment methods, and they would have the acquiring, and they would turn certain elements on, turn certain elements off, and it's just a simple case of routing traffic as per the business's strategy. The other side of orchestration is where you're orchestrating maybe the acquirers. And in order to have that and be able to call it true orchestration, you need to have those 3 pillars that we spoke about before: the flexibility, the scalability, and the cost control. That either one of those 2 models would enable that. So orchestration fundamentally is an enabler. The flexibility, well, that's configuration of checkout. So that could look like turning payment methods on, turning payments off. It could also be part and parcel of your fraud and your exemption strategy, been built around your market, multiple markets, the payment trends, the payment channels that you might have. You might have different strategies for each of those different channels. The scalability, well, that can be broken down into scaling quickly into new marketplaces, or quickly being able to deploy new payment methods with ease, all reconciling to that single point, that single touch point, as the orchestration layer in whichever model of orchestration you're talking about. And finally, that cost control. Well, that's the optimization of the payments journey. That could look, again, in many different ways. You could be talking about A/B testing, so the ability to test performance maybe of different acquirers, of different payment methods. You could use fallback strategies, multiple acquirer strategies, the customization of flows, turning things up, turning things down in terms of fraud and such like. So what is the benefit of adopting payments orchestration for a business? Is it boosting, for your business, is it boosting the conversion rate? Is that what making the boat go faster looks like for your payment strategy? Is it less fraud? Is it more payment options in the mix? Some people in my day job, they say to me, Joe, don't have a fraud problem. There's no fraud problem in this business. But subsequently, is there a conversion problem? So all of these things we look at. The question is, what will make your payments boat go faster? Let's take an example specifically of how data and orchestration and market trends, they can flow into this conversation and how it's all linked. So you can see there on the screen, you take the UK as a market, and I've chosen the UK because I'm from the UK, but this is just an example. But the payment mix, if we take this as of a couple of years ago, you look at the spend on cards, represents around 47% of all card payments, of all payments in that marketplace. 35% on wallet, 8% on buy now, pay later. So this is typically, in terms of a checkout experience, for the UK market, what might be completely appropriate. How about we add Germany into that? We're in Germany, right? Very different demographic, hugely different. So you look at maybe 15% on card, 29% on digital wallets, 27 account to account, and 23 on buy now, pay later. So as such, that should directly impact your customer's experience. It should impact the flow. It should impact the customer journey. You're flexing the payment mix as part of that strategy. So what? Is that orchestration? Well, it's an element of orchestration, sure, but it's not orchestration. Payment mix, you could talk to any gateway providers, and they've got an element of payment mix in there. You know, they've got different connections to different payment methods. That's basic stuff. We all know that. So, true orchestration lies in the ability to layer market data, customer data, fraud data in the business, and put all of those different strategies on top of each other. It allows businesses to look at all the points that we can see on the screen and blend them so that it shapes it with the market data and shapes it into that single pane, that single view of the payment stack. Let's take a few of these points as an example on screen. So payment mix in the top left, we've spoken about that one already. We need the right payments in the right territories, in the right marketplaces to be able to capture the customer, to be able to make it relevant to the people that we're talking about that. So we could say that geography gets pulled into the strategy as well. What about layering that on top of your customer demographic? You might look at your TikTok generation, as they call it now, and they might really like buy now, pay laters. And that particular channel for you guys all goes through your app or all checkouts through your social media platform, and that's how they buy. So they don't mind 3DS2 challenges, they don't mind all of the things that maybe pop up, but you know, your Gen X's and your boomers, well, they might hate a 3DS2 challenge. So you might have a completely different strategy for your mobile traffic over and above what goes through your web page. Or the customer journey, reaching out to acquirer 1 with an exemption request, and going out to acquirer number 2 with something completely different if it's in a different demographic, if it's in a different payment channel. So all of these pillars that you see behind me, they all fall into those three categories: flexibility, scalability, and cost control. And if you take any one of those three out, you probably haven't got orchestration in the way that it should be intended. At some point in every single customer journey, you need to make a decision on whether that's a good customer or a bad customer. So if we take a specific example on risk modelling and how that flows into the orchestration conversation, because it's more than just payments. Payments, risk, it's all combined. And again, critical pillar. So if we look at an example of, say, for instance, UK merchant again, and we've got the same checkout experience in the top corner. Well, you might look at that model and think to yourself, we need pre and we need post or fraud checks. We need to turn on device ID to say that these people haven't been behaving badly elsewhere. You might be looking and tracking things as simple as their mouse movements to make sure that it's not a bot attack, or whatever that looks like in terms of the customer journey. For the UK market, again, you probably have that single acquirer. You might look at it and think to yourself, this is my strategy. I'm going to turn up all the fraud rules because we have this problem in the UK market. But again, you compare that to Germany, you're going to turn everything right down. As an example, they might use more account to account and buy now, pay laters, and therefore your risk profile is completely different. So not only do you have a different payment mix as one of the thought processes behind your strategy, you've also got a completely different fraud strategy as to how you build that customer journey. You turn off the behavioural analytics, you turn off the device ID. In fact, instead of using one acquirer, you use three acquirers. So if the first one wants to give you a challenge on 3DS, you go out to the second, you go out to the third. Or you could do it based on cost, whatever your strategy is. So all the product names that we know in the industry and we've looked at and discussed, fundamentally orchestration is just a series of levers. And it's been able to pull these different levers, these different pieces of functionality based on your risk appetite, what it is that you want to do in terms of cost, your exemption strategy, how your payment mix is looked at, what geographies, what customer demographic. And you'd use the features and the functionality that you see on screen to be able to deliver that strategy. So hopefully, at this point in the conversation, as a businesses, we should be thinking to ourselves, aha, I've got that light bulb moment, that moment in where we're thinking more and more about our strategy and what it is that we're trying to deliver as a business. How can we make our payments boat go incrementally quicker? I'm going to do that analogy to death. So, we'll ask the question that we asked at the start. What is your payment strategy? And I hope through the presentation today, it's helped you reflect on the direction that your businesses take, and it shows the power of orchestration and how the return on investment through partnering with the right provider can enable the tech stack in each instance. So thank you, and hope to see you at booth W15 with ACI.